deep-rooted trust in the general progress of the human race, which his son inherited and then qualified. In the capital, James Mill excelled as a journalist, editor, and pamphleteer. After writing the first history of British India, 1817, he took up a lucrative post with the East India Company, rising to the rank of Chief Examiner of India Correspondence in 1830, and playing what his patron, the philosopher Jeremy Bentham, described as no inconsiderable part in the government of the 60 or 80 millions of its people. For the company was the world's most powerful trading corporation, and effectively ruled a sixth of the Earth's population. James Mill met Bentham in 1808, and by early 1809 was addressing him as your zealous pupil. In 1810, Bentham installed his acolyte as a neighbour, and in summer hosted the Mills at his country house. In 1812, he offered to become John's guardian, and to teach him to make all proper distinctions, such as between the devil and the Holy Ghost. Bentham was a legal, prison, economic, colonial, and educational reformer, and the leading utilitarian philosopher of the age. Utilitarianism sought the greatest happiness of the greatest number. The phrase originated in Stoic conceptions of citizenship of the world, and was appropriated by Bentham in 1768-9 from the English scientist and philosopher Joseph Priestley and the French philosopher Claude Helvétius. Bentham saw in James Mill a well-connected and adept popularizer of his own often abstrusely formulated views, and a man with talents in the classics, political economy, and psychology, as well as practical politics. Both became religious skeptics. Terrified as a child by the threat of eternal damnation and of ghosts, and deeply resentful at having been forced at university to subscribe to the 39 Articles, the Church of England Creed, Bentham attacked religion pseudonymously in Church of Englandism and its Catechism Examined, 1818, an analysis of the influence of natural religion on the temporal happiness of mankind, 1822, and Not Paul, but Jesus, 1823. Unnecessary asceticism and using fear to encourage virtue were condemned, as was religion's insistence on blind obedience to dogma and any advantages attached to believing in an afterlife replete with terrors which fueled an obsessive religious anxiety. Christianity offered no temporal benefit to mankind, and all religion indeed undermined temporal happiness in proportion in the extent to which it is entertained. As a pillar of the Constitution, the Church was also an unswerving opponent of political reform. Religion made practicing utilitarianism impossible, and vice versa. These assumptions became vital to John Mill's outlook and underpinned much of what he came to see as his mission in life. Young John was educated entirely at home in an experiment in the intense inculcation of utilitarianism framed by Bentham and by his father, with the latter hoping that we may perhaps leave him a successor worthy of both of us. The elder Mill famously thought he could write a book which would make the human mind as plain as the road from Charing Cross to St. Paul's. Both saw the young John's mind as a blank slate upon which volumes might be inscribed. Their method was to arrange the sensations to which the boy was exposed in the most scientific manner, while avoiding anything which hindered intellectual development. A prodigy in the making. There was some effort to make an all-round man of John. A sergeant from a local barracks was enlisted to teach him marching drill and sword exercise, but the boy's talents were primarily intellectual, and he responded well to the intense regimen imposed on him. He began Greek at 3, memorizing words written on cards, moving swiftly from Aesop's fables to Herodotus and Xenophon. Then followed English, arithmetic, and Latin, various sciences, and abundant history.